Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind Orlando. You know, each and every week I try to talk to people from across the country about things you could do in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
So I know these boards look pretty beautiful, but I swear they did not take me that much effort. It's all the pre-cut cheeses, sticks, cubes, slices. And I love that we could have a wine like Prosecco that could bring it all to life.
It is not easy. And there are a lot of fails along the way. You know, you don't always win.
Yeah, that's pretty much all my entire life right there. Brandi Passante.
Inuit humor, it can be so dry, it can be so silly, but you know, there's so much trauma that exists within our community, there's so much hardship that a sense of humor is how we get through it.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. Grief, friendship, and a little dark humor. My Dead Friend Zoe brings it all together in a story about a veteran navigating life with her best friend, who just, happens to be a ghost. Sonequa Martin Green stars as Merritt, a U.S. Army veteran facing family struggles, personal loss, and the ever-present Zoe. The movie's already in theaters, and Sonequa joins me right now. Welcome to the show, Sonequa. How are you?
Oh, I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
All right. This film walks like a fine line between drama, dark comedy. Like, how did you approach playing Merritt, someone that's like dealing with grief in such a really unconventional way?
Oh, well, thank you for calling it unconventional. You know, it's a lot of a lot of how I dealt with it and the carrying of the role and the carrying of the weight of the role was because I was seeking to do justice to Kyle Houseman Stokes. Because this is his story, our director, who also wrote this. AJ Bermudez helped write as well, but this is his story, 93% as it happened. And so from the very beginning, I knew that I needed to do this justice. And this is a veteran story. It is about PTSD, survivor's remorse and shame and guilt and acclimating to life after war. But it's also for anybody, whether you served or not, who's dealing with these things, because so many of us are. So many are walking around with this kind of pain. So I think that in order for all of that to land and in order for the prevailing theme of the film to come across, which is talk about it before you make a rash decision, talk about it. I think we need the humor to really like round it out. And so Natalie Morales, she offers that buoyancy that the film needs. And I mean, she's mainly the reason why, it's a dark comedy. Kyle wrote a really brilliantly balanced script. And it was wonderful to be able to bring it to life with her. And sort of, I represent the gravity, she represented the levity.
She's hilarious.
Yes.
Just absolutely hilarious. How did you go about, like, I don't want to, I'm spoiling it. All right. She's Tyler Durden, basically a Fight Club the entire time. How do you go about telling the story from that perspective that you are in some scenes being yourself, communicating with some of the characters that are around you, and then also on the same level communicating with her, and also as everybody around you is staring at you like, this person's crazy, this person's off your rocker? How do you play that fine line as a character? Because that must have been one hell of a hard role to do, to be able to like play two conversations at once while you're the only one that's in both of them at the same time.
That's a really great question. Thank you for asking. I think that there was obviously there's a totality of thoughts and experiences that fed into Merritt, right? And that fed into Kyle. Merritt as Kyle as Merritt, right? Me as Merritt, bringing Kyle's life to the light. I think that what made it I won't say easy, but what made it doable for me was knowing that this is the way this woman lives. This woman lives with this constant this constant presence of the guilt and the shame and the survivor's remorse. And, something that Natalie Morales says a lot is she likes to call Zoe a guilt demon, right? Because she isn't a ghost. It isn't the actual Zoe. It's a manifestation of her. And she's grown to this level of personification because of the harping on it, because this is something that is growing and toxifying and fermenting fermenting in Merritt's heart and in her mind. So it's almost like growing and growing and swelling to the point where it's going to take over her life. And we see that it sort of has, right? And so it was interesting because knowing that she's always on my mind, that was how every moment was played. She's here. She's always here. I am so guilty. I feel so much shame. I have such deep survivor's remorse. All I want to do is go back and change the past, but I can't. And I'm stuck in this loop of pain because of it.
Sonequa, Martin Green, thanks for joining me this morning. My Dead Friend Zoe is now playing in theaters, so if you haven't seen it yet, this is the perfect time to go check it out. To find showtimes, learn more, go to mydeadfriendzoemovie.com. Sonequa, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
Looking to impress at your next summer hangout? We've got an easy way to make your snacks and sips shine in celebration of National Wine and Cheese Day that just passed. Samantha Capaldi, also known as Samantha Sommelier, is here to show us how to craft tasty pairings with ingredients you probably already have at home. Hi, Samantha.
How's it going? Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to continue the celebrations of Wine and Cheese Day.
Absolutely, always a good day to celebrate wine and cheese.
It's every day for me. So,
what makes certain everyday ingredients work so well together when paired right?
Yeah, so it's all about taking the intimidation out of it. That's my whole vibe when I'm creating these boards. So Cracker Barrel cheese, you could find that at your local grocery store. So anyone could pop in and grab these ingredients. You probably already have some fresh produce in your fridge. And Josh Cellars wine is also something you could easily grab too. And I love just packing the boards full because Cracker Barrel cheese has such a beautiful variety. They have pre-sliced, they have cubes. And for me, I'm terrible at cutting up cheeses, fanning it out, making it look pretty. So I know these boards look pretty beautiful, but I swear they did not take me that much effort. It's all the pre-cut cheeses, sticks, cubes, slices. And I love that we could have a wine like Prosecco that could bring it all to life. So if you're a salty lover, you're definitely going to love adding some pickles onto your board, along with your irresistible, savory, tangy cheeses. The Prosecco is going to bring out all those beautiful, rich flavors you love and just coat your palate and be really refreshing with all those fruit flavors during the summertime. If you're more of a Cabernet Sauvignon lover, I want to share with you this spread over here. This is where we get a little crazy and we do a little bit of sweet strawberry jam and we coat it on a salami and add some of our Cracker Barrel extra sharp yellow. And to me, that's the perfect balance of sweet, smoky, and savory. And the wine that is going to be the best fit for that is this Josh Cabernet. It's filled with lush blackberry, plums, really smooth tannins. I call it a couch crusher because you could just be drinking this on the couch with your loved ones, snacking on your Cracker Barrel cheese, makes it really enjoyable. And then down here is the summer board of the hour. This is our rosé that I refer to as a porch pounder. I want to drink her outside, preferably, even when it's hot, because she's nice and crisp. She has beautiful peach and a little bit of citrus flavors. And I really like to go to town on the extra sharp white. That tends to be a crowd favorite. You could crumble it up really easy and make it look fancy on the board. Takes 2 seconds. Or you could even just throw on some of the cheddar jack sticks. I love cheese sticks. Grab and go. Grab a glass of wine. Grab your Cracker Barrel cheese stick. Go sit outside on the porch and just have yourself a beautiful summer day.
How can people choose the right cheese and beverage combo, especially with Florida's summer heat?
Oh, yeah. So definitely knowing that Cracker Barrel cheese is at your local grocery store. You don't need to be frantically searching for a bunch of ingredients that you don't necessarily need. So knowing that that accessibility factor is there, as well as the Josh wine, and also not being afraid to experiment a little bit with contrast, doing sweet and spicy, doing a little bit of salty and bubbles, and just having someone like me in your corner to help you out and not make it intimidating.
Can you share some tips on building a seasonal charcuterie board using easy to find items?
Absolutely. So hands down, I have to say Cracker Barrel's cheese cubes. They're my little secret weapon to making all my boards look luscious and full, not to mention the resealable bag if I want to kind of stock up and keep some in my fridge while my guests are mingling and eating and kind of destroying my beautiful board. I could go back in the fridge easily, dump some more on the board, looks good as new. And I think that's just a perfect little secret hack to make your cheese board so simple and delicious.
Is there a pairing that might surprise people but actually works beautifully?
There's a few, but I'd probably say one that goes really well is spicy, savory, and rosé. So having a little bit of your savory, extra sharp white Cracker Barrel cheese, putting a little bit of spicy honey on it, and having a sip of your rosé. It's basically going to calm that heat down while still amplifying all the beautiful flavors that you want out of the cheese and the honey. And at the most, what we really want is to highlight the fruit flavors in the wine. So going a little spicy, sweet, savory is one of my favorites.
How can our viewers at home create a fun spread without overthinking it?
Yeah, so you could find all of this beautiful inspiration and tips at crackerbarrelcheese.com, as well as Cracker Barrel Cheese Instagram, and my Instagram, Samantha Sommelier.
Excellent. Well, Samantha Sommelier, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Cheers.
NBA Twitter is a world of its own, where memes become legends, viral moments spark debates, and basketball never sleeps. And now it's all coming to life in Memes and Nightmares. It's a satirical mockumentary diving deep into the culture of digital fandom. And at the center of it all, we have Josiah Johnson, the king of NBA Twitter himself. He's here to talk about the film, the madness of social media, and how basketball went from a game to a 24/7 online phenomenon. Welcome to the show, Josiah. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Dan. I appreciate the two cameras and the cutting, all the stuff you got going on over there, man. That's legendary. That's ball. Excited to get this going. I gotta show love. I gotta show love when I see stuff that I appreciate, man. But thank you so much for having me. Excited to help promote this film, Memes and Nightmares, premiering February 20th, streaming exclusively on Hulu. For me to get the opportunity to work with somebody like LeBron James, who's my favorite basketball player of all time, and work with his company Spring Hill and also the good folks over at Anscape and Starry to make this thing happen, man. I'm just super excited right now. I'm smiling ear to ear, my heart's fluttering, just ready for people to see this thing.
You should be proud and you should be honored, man. You've built a reputation as like the king of NBA Twitter. So how did you take that energy and bring it into Memes and Nightmares?
So really just for me, the film, we've been working on this thing for over 3.5 years now. We did a lot of the principal photography back in 2022. For anybody who's a Twitter fan, which is now called X, I'll never call it X, only just obviously to tell you the new name that it has, but knows that there was a huge shift in 2022. The platform changed a lot. But LeBron and his crew over at Spring Hill reached out to me, said they had an idea for a film. They wanted to show some love to NBA Twitter. And I think something that was important for me was to really just pay tribute and homage to the men and women who have helped make this community what it is. Like, there's so many incredibly talented people, everyday people that have used and leveraged this thing to grow and put themselves in positions they may have never imagined, myself included, and also the players, the fans, the teams, and just this whole world. So I think this film really takes a deep dive into that world to really show people, even if you're a casual fan and you've always been curious what NBA Twitter is, this film really helps highlight that.
I agree with you. It went from tweeting to, what do we call it now? Excreting? God.
Yeah. It's always going to be Twitter to me. It ain't never changing.
All right. This film is like a buddy cop style satire on internet culture. What was it like playing off Jamal Johnson, and how was that dynamic shape the comedy?
Jamel, one of my favorite comedians, very heavy in not only the NBA Twitter, but WNBA Twitter spaces. So it's crazy. So the production team behind it, they wrote a script. I think we ended up ad-libbing about 90 to 95% of it. We would take a look at the script, whatever the emotion of the scene was, if you will. Jamel, just such an amazing improver. I was just trying to keep space with him, or keep up with him, go to toe with him, if you will. But for us, it was just, every day on set was, just us trying to make each other laugh. And I think that's really reflected in the film. And we were friends before we worked on this project. So to be able to do things with people that you respect with your friends, I think always makes things easier. So, showing up every day on set, there were some long days, 14, 16, 18-hour days, but we'd always keep the mood light. And I think even, filming this was reflective of what NBA Twitter is for a lot of us. It's just a place to get the jokes off, lighthearted, and to share our love of basketball. So being able to work with Jamel, being able to work with the other members of the production team, truly, truly, just you have a lot of great relationships with a lot of those people. So to see this thing now finally come and be released it's a labor of love, and I'm super excited about it.
And NBA Twitter has like produced some of the like, I guess, wildest viral moments over the years. Were there any like real life stories or memes that inspired scenes in the movie?
Yeah, I think we do a lot of callbacks just to NBA Twitter culture and vital moments that, if you're a basketball fan, they're basically Easter eggs, if they call them in the production world, but Easter eggs that people will be able to watch and I think understand what we're doing. But also we wanted to make sure that this thing wasn't too insidey. It wasn't just you had to be a member of NBA Twitter or deep into that world to understand the film. So we have a lot of stuff for even the casual fans to help learn and help them kind of improve their knowledge of the space. But a lot of moments that we pay tribute to throughout the film.
Josiah Johnson, you're the man. Memes and Nightmares, it drops on Hulu right now. And if you ever laughed at an NBA meme or like been sucked into a Twitter debate, this one's for you. Josiah, thanks for hanging out with me, my friend.
Hey, thank you, Dan, and make sure everybody you go watch, get Hulu if you don't got it. Check out Memes and Nightmares. It's streaming on Hulu, like Dan said. And help support me, help yourself learn about NBA Twitter.
You're the man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Do you ever feel like everyone in your town knows everything about your life? Now imagine that. But, in the Arctic. North of North is Netflix's latest Canadian original comedy, and it follows Siaja, a young Inuk woman navigating small-town gossip, single motherhood, and discovering herself in the snowy, tight-knit community. She's fierce. She's funny and pretty much not afraid to fall on her face. And bringing her to life is the incredibly talented Anna Lambe, who's here with a fresh new series that's as heartfelt as it is hilarious. Welcome to the show, Anna. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so your character Siaja kind of like makes some of these big, bold moves right from the start of the series. What drew you to her story, and what parts of her journey felt especially personal for you to play?
I mean, from the moment that I read the audition sides, I was so deeply invested. I loved that she was well-intentioned, but so incredibly messy and complicated, and had all of these dynamics around her, a complicated relationship with her mother, an unsatisfying marriage, but a dream and an ambition that she wanted something else for herself. And to tell the story, which is like a second coming of age, this young woman deciding that she wants a life that she wants to live. She wants, something that is different, and she wants to put herself first for the first time in her life, was so exciting. And the showrunners, Alethea Onakok-Burrell and Stacey Aucklook-McDonald, are, the producers of the first ever film that I did when I was 15 years old, called The Grizzlies. And it really was a full circle moment, coming back together and going from Grizzlies, which was this little indie film, to now North of North for Netflix. It was just, I spent months auditioning for it and many days crying about it, hoping that it would work out. And it did. And I'm so incredibly proud of what we created.
And I'm glad it did. The show, it balances comedy with some like real emotional depth. How did you find that balance as an actor, especially with some of Siaja's like tougher moments?
Yeah, I think finding it as an actor might have been difficult if I wasn't from Iqaluit, if I wasn't Inuk, because that is so representative of how we do navigate hard times in our lives and how we deal with things. Inuit humor, it can be so dry, it can be so silly, but there's so much trauma that exists within our community. There's so much hardship that a sense of humor is how we get through it, and how we face the really difficult things. So doing that, and especially with Micah Harper, who plays Nevi, who's also from Iqaluit, being on the same level as someone and really understanding each other and each other's history and what you're bringing to a scene, and how you really kind of create that, I love you so much, but do you make me angry, was so, what we knew already. So it was, I think as an actor, a real privileged to be able to get to do that swing of emotion, the really silly, like high comedy, kind of clowny stuff, all the way to, you know, the heartbreaking kind of punches you in the stomach stuff.
And North of North it's comedy, but it's also a huge moment for Inuit storytelling. What does it mean for you to be a part of a project led by Inuit creators, filmed in the Arctic and starring an Indigenous cast?
It's so exciting. You know, as we were getting ready to film the show and as we were filming the show, you know, a lot of people would say like, oh, does it feel like a lot of pressure? Do you feel a lot of pressure doing this and telling this story? And shockingly, no, because the showrunners are Inuit women from the North. You know, Micah Harper is an Inuk woman from the North. Zorga Khaunak is an Inuk woman from the North. And so it was like the shared responsibility of representing the community in the best way possible. And we got so much love back from Eqadungmiut, from people from Eqaluit, and from the territory as a whole, you know, from the designers that contributed work to our show, to, you know, other filmmakers that wanted to support us, to the community just showing up and supporting us in whatever way that they could. So it always reframed things in the big picture of, we're not just creating a show, we're not just, you know, doing these roles and doing this for our own careers. It's always about the community, it's always about the bigger picture, and it's always about, you know, telling the story and what that could mean for people when they watch it. So it's just been a real privilege. It's been really exciting, and it's been a beautiful thing to share this with, you know, people that just love this show and love the North. And now, you know, an international audience gets to watch it, which is pretty cool and exciting.
Anna Lambe, thanks for joining me this morning. Check out North of North. It's available now on Netflix. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Do you ever wonder what's really inside all of those old, dusty storage lockers? Is it trash? Is it treasure? Is it something worse? The hit 80 series Storage Wars is back with bigger lockers, bolder finds, and fiercer bidding. And one of the show's fan favorites is joining us to preview the new season. Brandi Passante is here, longtime buyer, savvy negotiator, and honestly, a Storage Wars icon. Let's welcome her to the show. Brandi, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Good morning.
All right, for folks that are haven't watched this for a while, what is new this season on Storage Wars?
We have an hour long this season, which, you know, there's a lot more chance for us to, you know, highlight, you know, all the background stuff that we're doing and all the silly stuff, you know, that you never get to see. So that's exciting. We also went to an estate sale this season. That was a lot of fun, especially for me because I won big. Dave Hester's back this season. That's not very exciting. You know, you know, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. Season 16. So that's a little crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy big number for that. You guys have been around, what was it, 2020? No, 2010, no. Right?
Yeah, we kind of started shooting in 2009, and yeah. So it aired, you know, shortly after that.
So what is the biggest thrill for you when you're seizing, sizing up a locker? Is it the mystery, some of the potential profit, or maybe just beating Dave Hester?
You know, I think more than anything, if I like a unit, you know, that it's the element of winning that. And it's also, you know, the potential to make money, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I'm there for. And, you know, it is always kind of fun. I do get to learn about, you know, obscure items that I would have never known anything about. And, you know, I found quite a few and unique items over the seasons, or over the years. And, you know, sometimes I fail big and sometimes I win big, but, you know, the longer I've done it, you know, the less fails that there are. You know, you just live and learn.
In over 16 seasons of buying lockers, selling lockers, and chasing dollar bills, what is some of the crazier, I guess everybody asks you this, but what are some of the crazy things or some of the most memorable things or some of the most heartfelt things that you've found within these lockers?
You know, in the beginning, I they'd be like journals and things like that, and I would just kind of get wrapped up and read these things. And now I don't do that as much. It takes a lot of time out of it, and it's kind of a time waster. But I've also found in before I even started the show, it was like one of my first units that I bought. There were these old photos. I mean, this is what I always kind of go back to. They were black and white photos from the 1800s, and they were of dead people. And it was, I guess, tradition to capture their soul or something along those lines. And they kind of gave me the creeps. And I held on to them for a minute, and I ended up throwing them out. And I found out later they were worth a lot of money, and I shouldn't have done that. But it goes with anything in this business. You kind of have to live and learn. Learn your lesson. Do a little more research.
Not to give anybody advice on buying and selling lockers, but if anybody was interested in taking this up as a hobby or maybe small business, what are some of the first steps to that you would assume to give them as a suggestion, or say, don't do this. This is terrible. Don't do this at all. What are your thoughts?
I would say don't do it, and that's what I kind of say as a rule. I mean, it's not an easy job. I know we make it look easy. But we've all been doing it a long time. It's backbreaking work. It's moving day every single day. It's cleaning out disgusting things, and sometimes it's full of dirt and dust and sometimes there's critters, and it's not easy. You have to find a place to store all of the things. You have to go to the dump to throw away the things that you can't sell, and then you have to find an outlet to sell the items that you are keeping. So it's a difficult job. It is not easy, and there are a lot of fails along the way. You don't always win.
Yeah, that's pretty much all my entire life right there. Brandi Passante, thanks for joining me this morning. You can check out the new season of Storage Wars at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on A&E, and then they stream the episodes the very next day online. Brandi, thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And that's it for Rise Unwind Orlando. Want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, go to our website. That is riseunwindtv.com. Fill out the form, send it our way, and maybe you could be on a future episode. Follow our YouTube channel. That's at Rise Unwind TV. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all the stuff that those YouTubers say. It all helps us out too. And until next week, that was Rise and Unwind.